Guys. My name's Johnny. I am a student here over at Judson, and I definitely wanted to speak with you on Mr. Walt Whitman. Mr. Walt Whitman wrote a very special piece to me because of what that piece means, and it is called When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed. About Walt Whitman, just wanted to give you a little bit more. He was born in May 31st of 1819. He was born in West Hills, New York. He was also a journalist, but a male nurse. And during this time period, he was a male nurse and a journalist during the Civil War period. The wound dresser and drum taps were two of his most famous during that time period, and both described his journey in looking at the Civil War and how he helped out as well. He died in March 26th, 1892. Why it was written is something special to me as well too. He was mournful over Lincoln's death, the assassination of Lincoln during that time period of the Civil War, with him being such a great hero, not just a president but a hero during that time period. What he was trying to establish in our nation, and man, it just especially with the last few things that happened a couple weeks ago, you think how hard that probably hit the nation, because how hard it's hit our nation over the young man that has died recently. And man, Kirk was a very good man, but just wanted to be able to speak more on that, because man, it really hit me hard to be able to see and to read this during that time. He followed the burial, so it's written almost like it's written as if you are seeing it with your eyes, but the way he expresses it is very emotional. He did a lot of writing through the Civil War period, and we talked about that last. The strife scene, it's hard to establish kind of a hard sense of what he saw, except for reading his material and about the lilac, and we're going to touch about the three different scenes that he wanted us to establish through it as well. He was very descriptive, especially over the flag over the coffin. That's why I have a picture there right now. When lilac last and dooryard bloomed, the three main parts of symbolism that you see here that I spoke about are the lilac, the western star, and the hermit thrush, especially the hermit thrush with the things of that bird, and how noted, how well written it is about the bird and the lilac. Western star, yes, but those two, he really puts a lot of heart into the symbolism of the lilac and the hermit thrush. Again, all three are used to show the reader what is going on through the descriptive words. The lilac is mainly towards memory. Why? Because of what's gone on during that time period. And springtime, when it blooms, and that was when Lincoln was killed. The love for Lincoln that you see through that memory because of his grief in that time period. You see how hard it hit him, and how descriptive his words are through it. It's a very poetic nature that he has, and how well he can put his words into action. There's not a lot of people that can do that. Full lifespan, showing that life is just a season and death is continuing every day. We have to look at that seriously in our own walk with Jesus, and that's something that is shown here, where he shows that our life is just a season through Lincoln's death. Western Star. Western Star, I said, didn't have as much, to me, umph in it. Western Star, though, I believe the way that he wrote it had some to it because of how he wrote it. The death of Lincoln, of course, but also shows that he was a great leader and that Lincoln was hope. That's where we can kind of see where the Western Star was for that. The descriptive words of how the Western Star was shown, where he was hope during a time period that was going through so much darkness of slavery, trying to end it, and also the things that Lincoln was known for in our country to push forward through during the Civil War period, and trying to end that harsh time period. Light in total darkness. That's a very good point there for Western Star. That light in a total darkness that's shown in his writings. So it's something that we need to look at and look at clearly. I almost think of the star of Clear Star of Bethlehem and how it was shown during that time period, and how it was a light during a total darkness, because you can look at the death of Lincoln and how he was such a great leader, going through that pinpoint again and showing that he had so much hope for what needed to happen in our country. The Hermit Thrush. And this is the one I really enjoyed because of how how descriptive he was. The Hermit Thrush, as far as a song, and during the Civil War period, it was used, and what you could hear, it almost puts you as far as a vision of death during that time period for the Civil War. A lot of people don't realize how harsh that was, and it almost reminded me of whenever my grandmother used to be very superstitious. I used to love hearing some of the things that she would always say. Don't sweep on a Sunday. And another one that she used to say was, if you used to hear an owl hoot at night, be sure that one of your loved ones will pass. It made me really think of that during this time period of the Hermit Thrush and learning more about why this was written inside of there with Whitman. The song showed Lincoln's death and in a correct time of mourning. The song did do this. The reason why the song did it was because of the fact that, Lincoln's death was there, but man, when you envision that song of the bird coming out and the whole nation's silent, we haven't seen that in a long time. We did see it with Kirk just moments, just pretty much weeks ago, but I could say that our country hasn't seen anything like that since September 11th. As far as a nation just going totally silent and mourning over so much. I remember going straight to church right after school and seeing all of that happened and how much it hurt, and the prayers of many that spoke of what happened, and you could just hear so many praying, so many of our leaders with inside the church, and how much it meant to them to see the things that they saw and how much it hurt. Nation needing healing. There's not a lot that I can say about that except for what I've already said, and it just right now we're in a place where our nation needs a lot of healing. Biblical relevance. I am excited to kind of talk about this one only because I love Job chapter 3. Job chapter 3 goes through a lot of things, but you can see how things are written within Job and how Job actually puts out a more of a poetic nature for his writing in this, and what he spoke about in Job chapter 3, especially after losing not just his wealth, but his well-being. He lost his pretty much all of his servants except for 4, and then he loses everyone except for his wife, so he loses 10 children at the same time. So the man's mourning in the same sense, and he uses so much descriptive words whenever it comes to it. The first thing that you see is that it's dark. It's very dark, and whenever you see that it's dark, the cool part about it is that you see the almost how it aligns with Whitman and what he wanted to say about the lilac, and also the and how he just brought out that mourning sense. Man, Job is mourning, and that's something that a lot of people aren't getting. So was his wife, and a lot of people missed that. Yeah, his wife did say something about him just basically taking his own life, and I'm not downplaying that at all, but you have to think of how harsh her life was at that time too. She not only lost her 10 children along with Job, but she lost everything else because Job at that time had to go through a very harsh disease, which is a skin disease that's very close to what's called epidermolysis bullosa. And with that, during that time period, you cannot go into a city and buy, trade, do anything else if you were a woman, or if you were a child, or if you had a skin condition. So there were 3 things that were right there. Man, Job's wife was hard about all that stuff. You see how dark it was, and the reason why I say that again was because he pretty much was so hurt, and he mourned the day of his death and the day of his birth. So he was very descriptive over, why didn't you just take me? Why didn't you just take me out of the womb? Why did you just allow me to even be conceived? Why did you allow me to be birthed? Why did you allow me to have my mother's breast in order to be nurtured and to walk more? And why did you even allow the kings to go through the death that they went through? Why couldn't I just do the same? Why couldn't I die that way? It was dark. Next thing you know is that it's descriptive, just like I told you. He even gets so descriptive over this to where he talks about Leviathan in chapter 3. And Leviathan, if you look at the time period, that's the reason why I like the what he used as far as the Western Star, using that as symbolism, using I love the fact that he used the lilac, and also just that thrust as far as a bird, all 3 of those. But man, if you look at all three and also Leviathan for Job, you can see the symbolism there being used, but also why it's being used. Jesus did the same thing. He was very relevant with what he used and why he used it. It's something that you have to do there. Mournful. Job was very mournful over the death and the death of his 10 children, and it showed with the way that he asked God, why would you even allow me to be alive during this time if you're going to take all my children? Surrounds death. Both of them surround death, and it's something that we have to look at very seriously whenever it comes to why it's being written. Poetic way of writing. That poetic way of writing in the time period that it was released, there was a lot of poems, a lot of poetic nature being released in the civil time period as far as the Civil War. But you also had a poetic time period in the beginning stages of biblical times before Jesus was even here. Those first few books of the Bible that were written were more of a poetic way, and you could just see how close everything is together. I hope you've enjoyed my time with you and what I see as far as Whitman, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. If there's anything else I could do, just let me know, and hope you had a great day.